Let's take a look at how our brains operate during emergencies. First, we're going to take a look at what happens during true emergencies, then during false alarms, and then what happens during false alarms when the brain malfunctions. Now, we're going to be using a model to imagine the brain that looks a lot like a hand. It is a hand. And this idea of using the hand to look like the brain was first used in the book called Parenting from the Inside Out by Dan Siegel and Mary Hartzell. And it really fits amazingly well as a simple example. So we begin with the brainstem, which is like the thumb coming up from the spine, leading into the amygdala. And the brainstem and the amygdala together work as the caveman brain. It's called the caveman brain because this is the part of the brain that is in charge of emergencies. And in the days of the cavemen, there were a lot of emergencies. If you're getting attacked by a wild animal, you don't have to think, you don't want to think. You just want to run away or fight back or try to stay real still and hope that it doesn't notice you. That's known as fight, flight, or freeze. So while we're reacting automatically, the information has time to travel up to the cortex, where we can compare what's going on now to things that have happened to us in the past, and think about how we feel about those things and what we think about those things, and whether or not this is really truly an emergency. Then we send that information to the frontal lobes, who then make a decision. Either keep freaking out or don't worry about it, relax. And the frontal lobes send that information back to the caveman brain. So let's take a look again at the hand. Imagine being outside on a nice sunny day, walking through the grass, bare feet, when all of a sudden we see a snake in the grass in front of us, out of nowhere. Well, immediately the caveman brain flies into action with that fight, flight, or freeze reflex. Maybe we jump up in the air or hop back, kick with our legs, or maybe even just jump back and stay very still, hoping the snake won't see us. So we're safe for the time being. Now, while we're freaking out, the information has continued to move up through our cortex, where we are calling up images and memories in our mind of other times when we've been in similar situations and seen things that look the same. And we decide, in fact, that it wasn't a snake that we were looking at. It was a garden hose. And we know that garden hoses don't scare us. And so we send that information up to the frontal lobes, and the frontal lobes checks everything out and says, yep, you know what, caveman brain, take a deep breath, let go. It's fine, don't worry about it. At which point the caveman brain takes a deep breath, lets go, relaxes, and we get on with our day. Now, what if that had been a snake in the grass? Well, if that had been a snake in the grass, our cortex would have recognized it as such, would have sent that message immediately to the frontal lobes, and the frontal lobes would have said, proceed, continue freak out. And the caveman brain would answer back, no problem, don't have to tell me twice, and we stay safe. Finally, what happens when there's a garden hose in the grass, but the caveman brain won't release, won't let go? Well, this happens occasionally to all of us, but as it turns out, this happens more frequently in brains affected by autism. What happens then is that the information goes to the frontal lobes tell the caveman brain, okay, release, and the caveman brain says, back off! You can't fool me. I need to survive. I'm freaking out here. Leave me alone. And the freak out often continues until exhaustion, or until the caveman brain can really just get far enough outside of the situation to calm down and let the frontal lobes really do their jobs. So, in emergencies, our caveman brain really is there to keep us safe. It's our best friend. And in false alarms, which are more typical, especially in this day and age, our frontal lobes and our cortex are there to work together to keep our caveman brains in check.